This is my first ever podcast that I'm shooting outside India.
We are based out in Dubai.
What could be the different paths that a CA can take after qualifying as a chartered accountant?
Our income from real estate, as long as they are not business activity as such.
What helped you to come to a final decision?
Initially, for about 1.5 years, I did not get any reasonable amount of clientele.
So you were the one who was happy with taxes, keen to know about the opportunities which exist right now outside India especially.
That entire income is not taxable.
What is it that is so special about real estate in Dubai? Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here and I welcome you all to a very, very, very special podcast. Why is this so special? There are multiple reasons for that. The very first thing is that this is my first ever podcast that I'm shooting outside India. I'm shooting this podcast in Dubai. One more very special reason is that I'm doing a podcast with a fantastic chartered accountant, a chartered accountant who has so much knowledge that you are going to learn so many things today. In fact, during podcasts, I just have some quick notes with me, but today for the first time, I'm having a pen in my hand because I know that I'm going to learn a lot today and I'm going to take some notes while I even discuss these chapters or these questions. But who is the chartered accountant? I have Mr. Balaram with me. Thank you so much for joining in, and it's been. I'm sure that me and everyone who's going to watch this podcast, they are going to learn a lot today. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, Rachana, and it's my pleasure to have to spend time discussing with you and talking more and more about Dubai, my journey, as well as what is so special about Dubai and businesses to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I became a CA in 2008. We always say that no one knows who is the senior in CA because you never know when a junior can become a senior and senior can become junior.
Yeah.
But of course, very rich in experience. You became a CA in 2006, is it?
Yes, I qualified in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you belong to which place in India?
I'm from a place called Almaspur, which is a remote place in Telangana.
Okay.
And then I studied my schooling and all in that place.
Did you learn from as an English medium student or a regional?
That was in Telugu medium. Up to 10 plus 2, I was in Telugu medium. From graduation onwards, then I moved to Hyderabad, then in English medium.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. And then you thought of doing a chartered accountancy as a main education?
Yeah, that's right. So when I was doing my plus 2, I was into CEC, commerce subject. So my commerce teacher was talking about CA. That's the first time that when I heard about a course called CA that is available for commerce students. So that's when I decided that I want to do that. I was interested in mathematics before, but because of some family reasons, I had to get into commerce. Whatever be the course or subject, I want to do the best in that stream. So that's when I decided to do CA, Chartered Accountancy course.
Okay.
Then after graduation, after coming to Hyderabad for graduation, then I came to know more about CA. So while doing graduation, I got into ICWAI.
Okay.
I finished my foundation and then inter during graduation. So after graduation, then I joined CA course. That was the first syllabus, first course curriculum, first batch in the new curriculum of CA. And then I started...
so you did IPCC?
Through IPCC. That was correct. Right. Mine was the first batch in IPCC curriculum. So in which you have to complete your CA inter first and then get into articleship.
Perfect. That was I think that was the best one is what I always feel.
Right.
Complete both the levels and then start your articleship.
Correct, yeah. Completely focus on your practice or learning whatever you want to do in the articles.
But then coming from a smaller place in Telangana, learning in vernacular language, clearing your CA and now having an amazing office in Dubai. And not only in Dubai, I heard that you also have your offices in USA and some other places.
Yeah. So USA, we have a office there.
Okay.
And we have an associate office in Oman.
Okay.
We recently opened a branch in Abu Dhabi also. We have an office in Sharjah as well.
Okay.
So within UAE, we are based out in Dubai. But we have offices in Sharjah as well as Abu Dhabi. Outside, we have in India.
Okay.
And we have in USA as well as an associate office in Oman.
I'm just wanting to stress a little bit on this because I'm sure there are a lot of chartered accountant students, CA students as well, who would be watching this podcast. And for them, there is always a question that what could be the different paths that a CA can take after qualifying as a chartered accountant. Of course, a person can go into a traditional practice like auditing and taxation, but a CA going abroad, what else or what different sort of services can a CA render outside India? I'm sure many people have these questions. So if you can share a little bit about your journey from you qualifying as a chartered accountant to where you are right now, if you can help bridge that gap.
Yeah. Uh, of course, I mean, the moment I qualified, I was not thinking of all these things. But all these things have organically happened, like, over a period. As in when I saw the opportunities, then I started moving to that direction, in that direction. So I did my articles from PwC Hyderabad. And soon after articles, I qualified. And after qualification, I started my career with KPMG Dubai.
Okay.
Yeah, from 2006 to 2008, I worked with KPMG Dubai. And afterwards, for about 4 years, I worked with Deloitte in Hyderabad,
Okay.
serving for Deloitte US offices.
Okay.
And
What is the special grudge with E&Y? They were not blessed with your services.
I know that's the only big four firm which I did not work with. By then, I decided to move to industry. So that's why I did not go or try for E&Y.
Okay.
So after 2012, I moved back to Dubai. And in 2012, I worked with an industry, in a company called Lamprey Energy Limited in oil and gas industry.
Okay.
For about 3.5 years. And in 2015, I moved out and started my own firm called Spectrum Auditing.
Wow.
So it's about 10 years journey with Spectrum Auditing. So at the moment, we have about 45 to 50 people working in Dubai.
250 people working in
50 people working in Dubai office.
50 people working in Dubai.
About
Okay.
200 people we have in Hyderabad office.
Wow.
And of course, other offices, Abu Dhabi and Sharjah branch.
You also have a presence
few
there.
people there and presence there. And US, we are not quite active, but we have clients to whom we provide service from Hyderabad and Dubai.
Got it. But I need to understand that how your first job in Dubai happened. Was it, like you said, like it happened organically?
Yeah.
So how did that?
Yeah. So soon after completing the qualifying chartered accountancy, I was searching for various jobs. Of course, because I did my articles from PwC, I got an opportunity to attend many other big four firm interviews. By then, I attended Deloitte interview also, and KPMG Dubai were conducting interviews in Mumbai.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, their team from Dubai came down to Mumbai, and then they were conducting. So me and my other friend, we both flew to Mumbai,
Okay.
and attended that interview.
Got it.
In the same interview, during the interview itself, we confirmed that you got the job. So that was like a dream coming true.
Yeah,
And of course, the package definitely would be in better range.
True.
So, and between Deloitte and KPMG, because it is outside and you get better exposure outside, and Dubai being a place where IFRS is being followed.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into this and then get this experience. So after working for about a couple of years, then I had some personal reason why I wanted to move back to Hyderabad.
Okay.
So then Deloitte happened. So in Deloitte also, I worked with the learning and development department for about a couple of years.
Okay.
Then moved to external audit within Deloitte.
But then initially, like almost what I can see is almost 7+ years you have worked for someone as an employee.
Yeah.
Maybe for Deloitte or KPMG or PwC, whatever. Or also one oil and gas company that you mentioned in Dubai.
Yeah.
While you made that switch from being an employee now to being an employer,
Yeah.
what were the things in mind that you considered before making this switch, and what helped you to come to a final decision?
I think it is an interesting thing to share with you and with others, of course. I was not a kind of person who generally takes so many risks. But over a period, I was feeling that if you are in employment, the flexibility and the freedom is little limited.
Okay.
I did not have any issues in employment as such. It was going smooth only. But one fine day, I was just thinking, why do I need to go through this process? Don't I have any other alternative ways? So that I have flexibility in terms of whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do, and freedom to do. So that was the thought that came into my mind. By then, I also had a small other business.
Okay.
In collaboration with other friend, I was doing that in Dubai itself. So that after getting into that for about 1.5 year, financially that gave me a little bit more stability
Absolutely.
and freedom to take other decisions.
Got it.
So once I had that in place, then my thinking process towards taking risk and get into practice got more.
Absolutely.
And that gave me the freedom to move out and then take some risk for some time.
Super.
Right. So for a chartered accountant, there's no other better thing to do but for getting into practice.
True.
So that time there were no taxes in Dubai. It was just accounting and audit. Audits also are not mandatory for many of the companies. Only the companies which have got a bank loan, because a banker was asking for audit reports, so it was mandatory. And for some of the entities who are part of bigger groups outside, where they require audit report from from the point of view of group reporting point of view, they wanted that. So these are the limited requirements for auditors or accountants to get the business.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, I thought many of the practicing people are surviving here. They're able to expand their practice here. Why not me?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that's how I started getting into the practice. For my fortune, after 1.5 year of my getting into practice, UAE came up with value-added tax.
So you were the one who was happy with taxes.
Yeah, to say so. And not so happy for businesses, but yeah, for practicing chartered accountant, it was for sure a happy thing.
Yeah.
Happier thing. So yeah, then slowly, initially for about 1.5 year, I did not get any reasonable amount of clientele. For about 6 months to 7 months, I was just having 1 or 2 clients. And so when you are into employment and then later move into practice, and in employment also you are in a big four firm or big four firms, wherein you don't get to expose to people to ask for the service, ask for the business, right? You're only executing, and the treatment that you get from the clients also is definitely different.
Yeah.
And they treat you like God if it is in India, right? So from that kind of treatment and environment, when I get into practice, I don't have people to help me. I don't have clientele to work with. I don't have the experience of reaching out to people and asking for them, asking for the business or for the service. So the switch over from there to this was a big change and big shocking thing for me also. For someone who has been working in a mid-sized firm or smaller firms, wherein you get to expose to this kind of clientele and kind of works, it was a shocking difference for me. So I had to spend a lot of time. I had to work on my mindset.
I was about to ask that you made a very important point here, Balaram, because 2 things here. Number one, CAs are typically shy. Typically.
Yeah.
There are some exceptions. But, generally, CAs are the ones who love to work behind the computer, behind the files. They say, you give me any amount of work, I'm happy to do that. But being a client-facing person, asking for work, expanding business, we are comparatively more of introverts rather than extroverts.
Right.
So how did you develop or change that in yourself? And number 2, like you mentioned, from a nice hefty salary in Big Fours or with the oil and gas company to the point that you mentioned 6-7 months, hardly 1 or 2 clients. How did you take that mentally?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, chartered accountants in general, they are a very shy person.
Yeah.
For me also, as a person, I'm also more of an introvert. So of course, you can work on yourself and then try to bring that change that is required. So initially, yes, I struggled with practice to get the clients, to reach out to clients, in fact. If we ask known people, generally, they may or may not be comfortable sharing their business-related information, transactions, and all those things. So there's a limitation. And reaching out to new people and telling them, I just started it, I don't have clients, I don't have team to execute, and then gain confidence also was a tough thing.
Absolutely.
But somewhere we need to start. So I was trying to reach out to everyone, whoever can help me, right? And also try to work on my own self, if I want to succeed in this journey, what all do I need to do? What are the other people who are into this practice are doing it differently from the employment? So I try to take the guidance and mentorship from the people who are already into practice here in UAE, and what are the things that they have done when they started their journey. So those things I was taking guidance from them, and also working on my own mind frame as to how to change, what all do I need to change to get into this mode and to be able to get the business. So this whole thing, all these things together help me into start the journey with the kind of requirements that I need to do to deliver it, to get the business, to be able to reach out to people and then get all these things I did, so that they helped me.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned, after 1.5 year, then I started getting jobs, I started getting clients.
Correct.
And then after that, VAT thing happened, that helped me again. And financially, as I mentioned, in spite of having the business in the employment income earlier, when I moved into practice, as I mentioned, I had that small business which was supporting me.
Correct.
And fortunately, my family also, my wife and kids and my parents were also fine with that particular shift.
Correct.
For them also, it was fine. I told them before getting into practice that this is what is the change that is going to happen. You need to help me and cooperate with me.
Yeah.
So fortunately, they were also okay with that, and they helped me during that journey.
See, why I thought of emphasizing this, what people generally see is a successful person, full stop. They don't understand the whole backstory. They don't know. So for Balaram also, what a person can say, "Arey, inke liye to acha hai." Nice set practice in Dubai and so many other places as well. But now what we understood right from coming from a small place in Telangana with a vernacular language schooling, then to going on to CA just because you came to know about this degree from a teacher, to working on yourself, to luckily getting into Dubai for the first time, because like you said, it happened organically. You had not planned it per se. This is also very important because people feel that everything is planned, you have to do da 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 and then it'll happen. I think it's more about putting in the effort continuously, working on self-improvement, figuring out ways to explore more, making out time to reach out to the right set of people who can guide you further. And then we feel things happen organically. But it's actually the efforts which turn into where we are today, right?
Yeah.
But like you had your own journey, a wonderful journey. I'm sure there are a lot of maybe CAs and now we'll shift from not only CAs but also non-CAs. We'll use the term as entrepreneurs in general, okay? Or it could even be employees. But first, I think we should talk about entrepreneurs is what I feel. They are also very much keen to know about the opportunities which exist right now outside India especially, right? And I'll tell you for a fact, right? Nowadays, a lot of CAs are also wanting to go into a lot of other business opportunities.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I have few students who have worked with Big Fours and now have started hotels in India.
Yeah.
Because they feel that food is something which is like a never dying business.
Correct.
If you can deliver the best, it's going to boom like anything.
Correct.
So if a person were to set up not only a hotel related thing, any business outside India, what could be the top 2 to 3 things that you feel they should know about? 1, 2, 3. These 3 things you must know if you were to set a business outside India.
Yeah. So I think India, as you mentioned, is definitely a wonderful place for any business people to have their businesses. Outside India, if someone is looking at, most of the people, what they do is that they want to expand or reach out to different set of people, a customer base outside India. So most of them do consider coming to Dubai. So I think it's the ease of doing business wherever you want to move to, how easily you are able to set up your company, how easily you are able to expand your company, and availability of required skill set, a skill set with employees and manpower. That is also important.
Okay.
And how is the environment as a whole in that particular country or place is, and how can you do business easily in that particular place is important.
Okay.
What kind of activity you are into, that also plays a vital role.
Okay.
How do you want to structure your business? If you are into business already in India and want to expand, so what kind of structure do you need to adopt? How do you move your funds? Entry is easy. How do you want to exit? That is also important to look at.
Okay.
Of course, for a business person, you also need to see what kind of taxation you are getting into. How can you plan your structure to have a better benefit from taxation planning also, tax point of view.
Okay.
So all these things you need to look into.
Okay.
before you, get into
So now what I think, what I feel is that you have given a lot of points that need to be considered. We'll try to take a case study.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say there is an entrepreneur in India, whatever is the product. Let's not go into product specific. Let's say it's a D2C company, directly to the customers or to the consumers. In such a case, if a person were to explore setting up a company in UAE, then how does the person think about? Because I've heard that there is something like a free trade or a free zone. There's like a mainland. How does a person take a decision on where to set up the business in free zone or in the mainland? Second, should that person consider of setting up a sole proprietary here or a company here? What should be the thought process behind taking these first two decisions? Because I think first is setting up a business. Uske baad aage ka dekha jayega. So first we'll move with this.
So just to give the brief understanding of the country, UAE as a whole, from the point of view of business structuring. So UAE as a country is consisting of 7 emirates.
Correct.
Okay. So each emirates has got its own ruler and governance, as well as on federal level for UAE as a whole. You have that set. So within UAE also, for business structure point of view, we can divide this into 2 different categories. One is free zones. In India, we call them as free trade zones.
Correct.
And the other one is mainland, the rest of the area. Within free zones also, we have different categories of free zones, like designated zones. Means they are custom bounded areas where goods going in, going out, and people moving in and moving out from that particular zone are monitored and controlled by customs authorities.
Okay.
They are generally adjacent to the ports.
Got it.
And then other free zones, which are not custom bounded, the open areas. Within those free zones also, we have free zones which are specifically for finance and finance related funding activity related free zones, and then other free zones. Other free zones also you have activity based, like whole trade, production, manufacturing, textile. So by activity also you have free trade zones. So wherein the environment or the infrastructure in that particular free zone is more towards that particular activity. So the way you can do business will become easy if you have all the suppliers or all the customers from that particular industry. That's how they were divided. Yeah, so we have free zones and we have mainland. The difference of having entities in free zone versus mainland is that if you have a company in free zone, you are expected to do business within that particular free zone or outside of UAE.
Okay.
Right.
So you can give an example here?
Yeah, so if you are a company in Jebel Ali free zone.
Okay.
Right. So you're expected to conduct business with the customer base within that Jebel Ali free zone, or you have business with outside of UAE customers.
Okay.
That's the basic requirement of a free zone.
Got it.
Recently, UAE came up with a concept called you can have your own branch license in mainland for a free zone entity.
Interesting.
Through that, you can do your business in mainland then. General practice is not, without having those branches, people generally do business with other free zones or in the mainland entity customers. But if you see the basic requirement or real requirement, it is that.
Got
Either you do business within that free zone or outside UAE, or you have a branch in mainland or in other free zones and then do conduct your business through that in that particular area.
Got it.
Right. But if you are a company in mainland, so you don't have such kind of restrictions. You can do business with customers in mainland or in free zone or outside of UAE.
But then why set up a company in free zone?
Yeah, so earlier we had a restriction in terms of the ownership in mainland. Like you had to have a local UAE national as one of the partner with a majority stake giving to that UAE national person and you being a minority shareholder.
Okay.
So that was the restriction we had. Whereas in free zones or free trade zones, the ownership can be 100% yours.
Correct.
Expat can be a 100% owner of that particular entity and do business. So that flexibility was there. So that is why people who are looking at where to establish or set up their businesses, either in free zone or in mainland.
Got it.
But I think 4 or 5 years ago, or 6 years ago rather, they removed this requirement of the local partner being the partner in that, UAE national being partner in that particular entity.
In the mainland as well?
In the mainland as well.
Okay.
So they only limited that particular requirement only for very limited activities.
Got it.
For about 95%, 99% of activities are open for expats to have 100% ownership even in mainland also now.
So now that I understand this, let's say for 95, 99% of the activities, now the restrictions are over for having a local as one of the key partners or let's say one of the key owners. Now setting up a business in free zone versus a mainland, does it really make a difference now?
Yes. Now, this is a good question again. Why do you have to now go to free zone versus a mainland? Free zones were established with a lot of other benefits apart from this ownership. Even the taxation also was one of the key element that they considered to give it as a tax-free place.
Okay.
Yeah. You have 5% value-added tax in UAE. You have two rates. One is 0% rate and another one is 5% VAT. For free zones, for certain kind of activities, the VAT was not there. It's not there even now.
Okay.
That's one thing. For certain other activities, you have 5% VAT applicable. But if you are bringing goods into the designated zones and moving out of UAE, there is no VAT applicable to them.
Okay.
So those designated zone areas are as good as outside of UAE. That's one. And now, since we have corporate tax coming in,
Correct.
so even for corporate tax also, there are certain kind of businesses in these free zones, they get 0% corporate tax on their profits. Otherwise, generally what we have is that from 2023 June onwards, corporate tax came in and it
9%.
became effective. Yes. So we have, again, there also we have 0% up to the profits of 375,000 dirhams, which is equivalent to about 85 lakhs Indian rupees.
But you're saying profit, not turnover.
Profit. Taxable income rather.
Correct.
From profits, you make certain adjustments.
Correct.
And then you arrive to the taxable income. On that, up to 375,000 dirhams, you have 0% corporate tax. Profits in excess of that is 9%.
Oh, only excess of that. So it's not like right from first dirham. It doesn't happen like
Right.
that. Okay.
For example, if you have a profit of about 2 crores, as I mentioned, out of that,
85 lakhs will be exempt.
85 lakhs will be subject to tax at 0%. And then remaining amount of 1 crore 15 lakhs will be subject to tax at 9%.
Got it.
And this 9% also is, you can say it's one of the lowest corporate taxes in any other prominent countries or economies.
Correct.
So these taxes, whatever we have. So in mainland, for all the entities, it is applicable.
Got it. Yeah.
But in free zones, for some of the activities, entire profits are subject to tax at 0%. So that benefit is still there for a free zone entity.
Wow. So you're saying that the 3,75,000 dirham limit, that may not be applicable if the entity is set up in a free zone, is it?
In a free zone, and not for all the activities, but certain specified activities, qualifying activities, will have that benefit.
Amazing. You mentioned about corporate tax being at the rate of 9%. Of course, you mentioned about the limits as well. You mentioned about VAT being taxed at either 0% slab or 5% slab. What about service tax?
There's no service tax. Value-added tax itself will take care of goods as well as services.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So like in India, we otherwise had service tax different, VAT different, and now as a GST.
Yeah.
So this is more
Similar
like
to
GST.
GST, yes, right,
So this VAT is more of or less like
yeah.
GST. Okay.
So you have certain specific rules applicable for services and certain other for goods, but both of them under VAT only.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. So we did discuss about setting up an entity in free zone versus in the mainland. Now, any specific licenses? So let's say there is a person who has now decided, who is watching this podcast right now, and now has decided that, okay, looking at this conversation, of course, finally, I always say that podcast is like a guiding light. Okay, but for finer details, it's always better that you approach a consultant, and because it's a tailor-made thing, right? It should not be like, it's not like one size fits all.
Right.
So this can give you a guiding light. So first we are focusing on the broader aspects per se.
Yeah.
So let's say a person decides that, okay, free trade or a free zone is something which is suitable. What are the licenses that a person requires to set up a company here?
Yeah. So if someone has decided to set up their business in UAE or in Dubai, they also need to understand what kind of licenses we have. So the kind of licenses we have here are like sole establishments and limited liability companies, which are called as LLC, which is one of the most popular form of organization here.
Correct. Sorry to cut you, but in the Indian context, LLC will be like a limited company or a private limited company. Private limited company.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have private joint stock companies, which has the flexibility in having more number of shareholders.
Correct.
And then public joint stock companies, PJSCs, which is nothing but a listed entity.
Correct.
So these are the most commonly available form of organizations or licenses that we have here.
Got it.
It may vary from the place where you incorporate your company, whether it is mainland or in free zones. Some of the free zones have different kind of licenses, but these are the broader kind of category of licenses that we have. So one needs to look at what kind of license you want to open.
Got it.
Do you want to get into a sole establishment and run your business, or do you want to have a limited liability company? So limited liability company is like unlike your sole establishment where the liability of the owners is unlimited. In limited liability company, your liability from the company is limited to your capital that you invested.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's the reason why most of the people they prefer to go for this limited liability company. Second thing is that if you are a person from India who is a tax resident in India, if you want to set up a business in UAE, if you incorporate a sole establishment, generally the sole establishment is considered as or not considered as a separate legal entity.
Correct.
It is considered as part of individual's business.
So there's no separation between a person
Owner and
his-
the company, owner and the sole establishment. Whereas in the case of LLC, limited liability company is considered as an independent entity or legal entity. So owner is different from the company. From all practical point of view, like from legal point of view, from taxation point of view also. So for a person in India who is tax resident, setting up a limited liability company is more advisable.
Okay.
Why? Because both are considered as independent. The profits of the company are not considered as profits or income of the individual in India, as long as those profits are retained in the company as such.
Got it.
Unless you declare them as dividends, which when it becomes an income for individual. Until then, the profit is a profit or income of the company itself.
Correct.
So that's the difference. So you need to look at all these things from the point of view of taxation, from the point of view of structuring. Most of the people, they start the company and then later realize, we had to take this approval from Indian authorities, either be it from RBI or be it from FEMA rules compliance point of view or any other compliance point of view. So they don't think before starting the company. They realize it only afterwards, whenever they get any notice or whenever any consult or anyone tells about that. So it is important for someone to look at what are the approvals that we need to take from India before you start your company. What kind of company are you starting or getting into? And then, as I mentioned, so entry is one thing that you need to look at. What is the plan for your exit also?
Absolutely.
How can you handle that? What are the requirements or compliances that you have in UAE as well as in India when you want to exit from the company or business? How easy is it? What kind of form you need to get into it so that you have less compliances, less hassles to get into and get out of business. All these things you need to look into.
Absolutely.
So people generally don't think about these things because they don't know about all these. So we do educate.
What I feel is people just know one thing very clearly in their mind, that Dubai has zero tax and that is the reason why, or UAE has zero tax and that is the reason why I want to get there. But that could be a wrong decision if you don't understand these smaller aspects. So for example, like you mentioned, that if a person is setting up a sole proprietary here, ultimately the residential status of the person is going to be important.
Yes.
And if that person is considered as a resident in India, then it will be taxed in India, right?
Right.
But what if that person were to set up a company in UAE, in Dubai, let us say?
Yeah.
Then even though the residential status of that individual, so let's say I'm talking about myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm a resident in India.
Yeah.
Assume that whatever 182 days requirement is that we know about that. But I continue to be a resident in India. And I open a company in Dubai.
Yeah.
Right. In that case, does my residential status matter for the taxation of that company, or they're, like you mentioned, two totally different things? Company is different, I'm different.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the legal form of the company is more important. If you set up a LLC company, right, you are a tax resident in India and you are investing or owning this company, which is LLC form in Dubai, right? So in this case, the profits of the company, as long as they are retained in the company itself, they are not considered as income in the hands of the owner.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So this becomes income in the hands of the owner only when they are declared as dividends and when you move the funds to India.
Okay. So in my case, let's say I set up the company in Dubai, and if that company declares a dividend to me, because ultimately I need to withdraw that money, right?
Correct, yeah.
So if that is declared as a dividend and if I get that in my Indian bank account, that will be taxed as per my normal tax slab in India.
That's right, yeah.
Correct.
It becomes income, taxable income in your hands.
Correct.
As you mentioned in your
And even
case.
if it's a salary.
Whether it is salary, whether it is remuneration, whether it is dividend, whatever you call it as, irrespective of the names, that becomes your taxable income in India. Right. So that is very important to look at. So if you are a resident, you need to look at all these things.
Absolutely.
The person who is a non-resident in India, so for them, as you know, the income that is generated in India becomes taxable income, and income that is generated outside India becomes non-taxable income in India. So these are the things that one needs to look at before they get into business.
Correct.
How do they want to structure? So we kind of help most of the business owners or people who want to get into the entrepreneurial journey. So this advice is more important. The structuring and the kind of compliances that you need to look into, and they take approval before you get
Can
into
you
business.
share a story, of course not naming the client, but how was a specific advice very crucial for them to save a lot of money?
Yeah, as I mentioned, so you have the opportunity when you are a tax resident in India and become non-tax resident in India, right? Of course, we don't want to encourage people to become non-residents from India, but if someone is interested in working towards that, to plan their taxation in an effective way, it is advisable for them to become non-residents and then get into the business or start a company outside or in India or in Dubai for that matter. So when you become a non-resident, then whatever profits or whatever salary or whatever remuneration you get becomes not taxable in India. On the other hand, in Dubai, for individuals, there is no tax. So whatever
Correct.
salary income that you get, or income from your investments, or dividends from businesses, or income from real estate, as long as they are not business activity as such, that entire income is non-taxable in the hands of the individuals in UAE.
Got it.
Right. So once you become non-resident and you establish your businesses, or you have income in Dubai or outside India, that becomes non-taxable.
Absolutely.
So that's the kind of planning that you need to do. If you're an owner in India and want to set up a company outside, you need to see whether you want to set up this outside India company as a 100% subsidiary of Indian company, or do you want to set up this company as 100% owned by the individual, you as a owner. What is your objective in a long term? Do you want to consider this entire business or entities in India, outside India, all together as one group?
Correct.
And you are a person who wants to get into a valuation kind of thing, and then you want to invite investors and all those things. In that case, having this closely connected, or having the outside India entity as 100% owned by Indian entity and form this as a group, all these things will help. Even the funds movement from Indian entity to outside Indian entity becomes easy when you have a subsidiary.
Correct.
On the other hand, if you are a person who wants to have a businesses on isolation basis, do not want to club them, then you may have to look at having you as a owner of this subsidiary company in or the entity in UAE, in Dubai.
Okay.
So these kind of things, so ownership structure, taxation point of view, compliances point of view, in India, outside India, in Dubai, in UAE. So all these things need to be looked into, and then decide how do you want to structure. So we kind of advise people.
So do you advise for all these things from end to end, right? From whether you should be setting up in a free zone or a mainland, to helping a person determine to whether a sole proprietary or a company, to the licenses, to the taxation, to everything is what.
Yes, we do provide this end-to-end service.
Okay.
Hand-holding them
Okay.
from the beginning of the kind of structure that they need to follow. What kind of approvals are required, also we can tell them. And then how to bring the funds in a right channel, in appropriate way. Also we advise them. And then what kind of entity you need to set up here, where do you need to set up the entity, which one is going to be more beneficial from the point of view of structuring, as I mentioned, whatever is your objective. And then from the point of view of taxation, and what are the compliances, other compliances that you have in different zones. And then we also help them in complying with those on regular basis, be it accounting, be it value-added tax, be it corporate taxes, transfer pricing, and any other compliances that are specific to any free zone. And we also do conduct audit. So if someone is having their business, if they don't have their team working here, we do help them in all these aspects so that they can focus on their business and execution. and the other compliances are taken care of. As I mentioned, exit also is important.
Yeah.
So in the structural point itself, we advise them what are the compliances or how easily can you exit from the business.
Yeah. So
We also
talking
help
about
people in
exactly. I was asking about the exit. So ideally, we should not be talking about this, but assume that an entrepreneur is not able to crack it, and finally feels that okay, I don't want to continue my business in UAE. I want to shut down the company in UAE.
Yeah.
Is that comparatively a smoother process, or it is a long process? And do you help in that?
Yeah. We do help in that also. If unfortunately someone is unable to do their business properly or as they expected, so we do help them in closing down the business, right? So relatively, it is much easier to close down an entity which is in free zones compared to mainland entities.
Got it.
But still, comparatively from many other jurisdictions in UAE, liquidating the companies is easier than other places. So we do help the people in doing that, liquidation of the companies also. And it is not a difficult task as such.
Got it.
Yeah.
I feel that there are two things which are talked about a lot when it comes to UAE. One is the zero tax thing for a residential status in UAE. And the second thing which is being talked about a lot these days is about real estate in Dubai.
Yeah.
Because, everyone in India is crazy about one thing, which is IPL. And during IPL also, I could see a lot of ads about real estate in Dubai. When I was traveling from India to Dubai, on the airports as well, there were a lot of advertisements about real estate in Dubai. What is it that is so special about real estate in Dubai?
Yeah.
I want to know from two aspects. Number one is capital appreciation. I'll tell you about my place in India, which is Pune. The capital appreciation, I'll be very honest, it's not that great. If I talk about rental yield, I'll tell you it's pathetic. It's 2 to 3%. I would better park my funds in a fixed deposit rather than focusing on the rental yield in my place.
Okay.
How do these two things work here in Dubai?
Yeah.
Capital appreciation, rental yield, both.
Yeah. I think most of the investors or most of the HNIs of late have been considering to have investments in real estate in Dubai, in UAE as a whole, be it from India or be it from elsewhere also. And this trend has picked up a lot of momentum of late during last 5 to 6 years. Earlier also, there were a lot of Indians who have been investing in real estate in Dubai. But during last 5 to 6 years, this momentum has picked up a lot, especially during this Russia-Ukraine war or Israel and that war also, yeah. During that, so unrest in other places of the world is an advantage for Dubai.
Okay.
That's one thing. So as you mentioned, in India also, there are sudden pockets where you have a lot of appreciation. If you see Hyderabad,
Yeah.
during last 10 to 12 years, the growth has been tremendous. There's a lot of appreciation in terms of the investments in real estate as well as ROI. But during last two years, that has slowed down.
Okay.
But here in Dubai, if you see, I've been here for last 15 to 16 years in Dubai. So if you see the trend, before COVID, there was appreciation and ROI was significantly high compared to many other markets.
Some ballpark figure for ROI?
Earlier, it used to be somewhere around 9 to 10%. Some places 11 to 12% also. That has
You're talking
been
about the rental yields?
Yes.
9 to 12%?
Yes. Before COVID, in fact, we had much better, as I mentioned, this rate, 9 to 10%. After COVID, the appreciation in the properties have gone up tremendously. It has become 2 times, 3 times in some places also. So the appreciation has gone up tremendously. The rental yield did not go up so much.
Okay.
But even now also, if you see, on an average, the ROI is somewhere around 5%, 6%, 7%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's net I'm talking about. And if you include the appreciation as part of it, then it is much higher.
Wow.
So you can see last 5 to 6 years, the appreciation has gone up a lot. The demand is still there.
Okay.
And what we're talking about, we're talking about a supply which is not that high, but demand is much higher. You have a lot of Indians who are interested in coming and having their second home here. I see a lot of people from US Indians who are settled in India, in USA, they want to have their home here.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You're talking about Indians who were in USA now want to shift back to Dubai.
Yes.
Because of vicinity as well?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of advantages. I mean, Dubai is much closer to India.
Yeah.
Yet it is considered as one of the, in terms of the living style, standards,
Very close to
world class. It's very close to India, that I said. And safety was also higher standards. It is considered as one of the safest place to live on the globe. And social life also is much better. The infrastructure is world class. And you have a lot of flexibility in terms of bringing funds, investing and exiting. And we see a lot of HNIs from other parts of different countries, not from India or US, from others also, like UK. Indians who have settled in UK because of taxation and other new developments in UK, they are now coming to Dubai and then having to have their homes here. Right.
We did talk about all the pluses till now. I mean, the point you said, right, that the rental yield plus capital appreciation is coming to almost 9 to whatever, almost 8, 9 to 10%.
I was just talking about only rental yield of that 5, 6, 7%.
Yeah, plus-
I did not include appreciation in that.
So if I include appreciation, let's say around 10% or whatever.
Yeah, it
Right?
depends. It
Depends.
depends.
Okay. But then let's talk about the flip side. A person who is wanting to reallocate from India to UAE, who is just starting his career, doesn't have money to buy a real estate per se. Isn't that a big downward flip side for that person, that the rent is going to be very high here as compared to a country? Because, people do talk about, you should shift to Dubai, tax free. But what about other things? I'm sure there are going to be some negative factors as well.
Yeah.
And barely few people talk about it. What could these negative factors be?
Yeah. So I think for an employee who is moving to Dubai, of course, the cost of living is little higher compared to India. We can certainly see that. Second thing is that the advantage of Dubai is that you have options depending upon your lifestyle that you're looking for.
Okay.
You can live in a luxurious place by spending whatever amount you want to spend. You can also choose to be in a place where it is reasonably well maintained and pay lesser amount of rent.
Okay.
So you can balance depending upon your risk appetite, or depending upon your income that you have. But yes, relatively, you can say that cost of living is little higher. That's one thing. Second thing is the flip side of coming to Dubai is that you don't have citizenship or PR here.
Oh.
You only need to live here based on your visa status. Yeah, that's one flip side that you can say so. Irrespective of the
And
number of
typically,
years.
what is the number of years for which an employee could get a visa?
Yeah,
or
so-
how frequently has the person has to renew it?
So every employment visa, earlier we had different periods, but now it is standard all across UAE. It is 2 years. Any
Okay.
visa that you have as an employment visa or residence visa is 2 years.
Okay.
Only of late they have introduced other kind of visa categories like silver visa, golden visa. Silver visa is for 5 years and then golden visa is for 10 years.
Okay.
So we do see people who are coming to UAE and Dubai to get that golden visa. And there are different categories under which you can get that golden visa and which is valid for 10 years.
Correct.
Once you get that golden visa, it is not just for you. Even for family, your family members also, you can take that golden visa. And that is for 10 years. The difference between the visa under employment and visa, like this category of visas of golden visa, silver visa, is that in employment visa, the validity of that is only for 2 years. And if you are continuously in UAE, it is different. But if you are outside of UAE for a period of 6 months and more, your visa becomes invalid.
Oh, so you have to come back to UAE every 6 months?
At least, minimum within 6 months, once in a period, you have to come back to UAE.
That's also a cost.
Yes. So whether it is employment visa or partner visa or investor visa, right? But whereas in case of golden visa, that's not there.
Yeah.
You can come whenever you want to. This 6 months period or one year period is not applicable for those golden visas. And the cost of golden visa, when you see cost of an employment visa for 10 years versus cost of golden visa for 10 years, golden visa cost is much lesser.
Yeah.
There are a lot of flexibilities that are given. So they are kind of attracting more investors. So as I mentioned, you can get the golden visa in many categories. One is through employment, where you have a salary of 35,000 or more monthly.
Dirhams.
Yeah, dirhams. For those people, you can apply for golden visa. Investors, people who want to invest into the real estate, and that real estate investment should be minimum of 2 million dirhams or more,
And that's
about 4.5 crores.
4.5 crores. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're ready to invest in that, you can also get golden visa under that category. There are various plans under which you can get it. The moment you pay the down payment and
Got it.
20% of you have off plans and all those things where your payment plans are there, and your handover comes later. But you can start paying the installments from the beginning. Once you pay a certain amount of down payment, and then you are eligible to get golden visa under that category also, without spending or investing 2 million dirhams. The commitment and certain amount of payment initially, you can apply for golden visa and you'll get it.
Correct.
So the period is longer and the cost is lesser. And most of people, they consider it as a status symbol also when you have golden visa in Dubai. So that is also there. So yeah, this is the various kind of golden visas we have in UAE.
Okay. So you also talk. So we were talking about the flip side, right? We talked about the high rental yields. I mean, the high rents that a person could have to pay. Second, you talked about there's no permanent residency kind of a thing here. You'll have to, renew
only
your
need to have your own
visa
visa.
every
Correct.
2 years or whatever. Got it. So I want to ask something about the new age investment opportunities. But before I go on to that, you were mentioning about one point, which is for a normal visa, every 2 years that will have to be renewed versus a golden visa, which has a life of, let's say, 10 years, after which it will have to be renewed. You also mentioned about different categories of people who can apply in for the golden visa.
Yeah.
But do you also assist in golden visa thing?
Yes, we do that. We do provide that service of helping people to get golden visa. Be it employment or be it investment. Investment also, they can invest in real estate, as I mentioned.
Correct.
Even for business owners,
You mentioned,
also,
I think, somewhere around 4 to 5 crores as a
that is
threshold,
right.
right?
Yeah, that is right. About 4.5 crores is what is the investment commitment for which you are eligible for golden visa. And even for someone who is investing into business, you are a shareholder of a company and which has got a certain amount of turnover or more. For them also, golden visa is issued.
Okay.
There are different categories of people who are eligible, like someone into arts, someone into science, research, or content creators. So that category also, they want to invite and attract more and more people who have got different talents.
Correct.
So for them also, golden visas are offered.
Okay.
And we do help them in getting the golden visa.
Fantastic. So again, if I'm talking about people in India or in general, how I can classify India, I can say India can be classified like L1, L2, L3. L1 is like the extremely rich people in India. L2 can be like a middle income and L3 can be a lower level income. L1, what I was reading through multiple reports is that the base is not increasing a lot right now, is what one of the reports said, but the penetration is increasing a lot. It means that, let's say, in the ultra HNI category, if X was the income of ultra rich people, it is going to 1.5x, 1.8x, 2x.
Yeah.
And when it happens in this way, there is a concept called as family office which comes into picture.
Yes, yeah.
So for the benefit of my viewers, if you can explain the concept of family office, and does it make sense to set up a family office in UAE?
Yeah. I think it is interesting question and one of the important point to understand. You have a lot of rich people or ultra HNIs, as you mentioned. It's good that you have wealth, but you also need to understand or have a plan in place as to how do you want to manage it. Be you as an individual and you as a family. Right? So how do you want to manage and how do you want to have a succession plan? Even after having succession plan in place, how do you manage afterwards also? So all those become important ones, so that your family is not getting into any disturbances afterwards also in future, and all those things do matter a lot. So at the end of the day, you are earning or you are creating wealth for you as well as for your family. So that has to go in smoother way. So from there only this family office concept came in. So wherein you can have your assets pooled under that particular family office, and you can have your family members as trustees of that particular family office.
Okay.
Right. And you can have a team of people who can manage that wealth, manage that investments, manage those properties that you have in a professional way.
Correct.
Right. At the same time, you have that comfort of ownership, not getting disturbed, and having that succession plan in place. So all this can be mentioned in that family office structure and will be handled in a proper way with the safer hands supporting you to grow the wealth further.
But will that be only like a trust, or it could be established as a company as well?
It is a kind of a company.
Okay.
It is a kind of company. From taxation point of view also, you'll be able to get the benefit of not having taxes on your returns. Though it is a company, you can still enjoy the benefits of being an individual, wealth returns or whatever income you have, not subject to be a tax. In the hands of company, you will still enjoy the benefit of being an individual, not getting taxed. But yet you have a corporate structure which takes care of this management as a whole with a proper team in place. So you are taking the advantage of being a corporate structure, yet you are not losing the benefits of being an individual from tax point of view, from ownership point of view. So that's the advantage of having a family office. You can have a single family office, which is only limited or restricted to one family. You can have multi-family office, wherein you have more than one family being part of that particular family office, and then continue that ownership structure.
But any specific advantage of setting it up in UAE?
As I mentioned, the taxes are not there for individual income, and wealth, definitely there is no capital gain tax and all those. So that's the advantage.
Oh yes,
And the
capital tax,
capital gains are also not subject to tax here. Not only for individuals, even for companies also. Yeah, so subject to meeting certain conditions. If you have investments within India by a company, there is no tax on the dividends
Okay.
received by a company from other company in UAE. And there is no tax on capital gains if you have investment in the other company more than 5% and subject to meeting certain other conditions. The same condition goes for investments by a company in UAE into other companies outside UAE.
Okay.
Yeah, that is it. So this capital gain advantage is there if you have a family office here. So all this and the flexibility in terms of your structure, funds movability is also an advantage here. So you can move funds from here to outside and from outside to here. The compliances are little lesser compared to other places. So you have a lot of flexibility and advantage of taxes and structures.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wow, I think I'll be very honest with you. Typically, what I feel is that when any person asks other person randomly कि क्यों भाई UAE में कुछ इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए, UAE में रहना चाहिए, नहीं रहना चाहिए, and people will just randomly give answers. Arey, of course, no tax, you should shift there, better standard, better living experience, this, that. But I think it's only a chartered accountant and a person like you, especially, who has been very calm in giving the answers and has handled the questions so smoothly. Because what I feel is everyone will say, हाँ आओ शुरू करो. But the point that you mentioned, exit, is also equally important. Everyone talks, so it's like otherwise you go inside the maze, you are stuck there and you don't know how to get out of it.
Yes.
So I think that's the attitude a chartered accountant brings into place.
Yeah.
That you should know about a specific thing in 360 degrees angle, and then you should be taking a final decision, right?
Right, yeah.
Amazing.
That's right. In fact, as you rightly mentioned, chartered accountants, first they look at the risk.
True.
Then they look at the opportunities. Maybe that is one reason why sometimes we don't grow much, but at least yet we have a safer things in place.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so whenever you get into investment, you need to know what is the right structure. We see a lot of people coming from India and investing here randomly into properties, into businesses, without looking at what are the compliances that they are actually not complying with.
Absolutely.
So some people may do it wantedly, but many other people, they don't know that such a kind of thing, such a compliances are there in place. So you have money that you earned out of your proper sources, and you are investing into some properties in Dubai or into businesses, not following or not complying with regulatory requirements in India, will definitely put you into trouble. So it is all the most important for someone who is interested in investing in properties in Dubai from India or into companies in Dubai from India. They need to look at all these things, compliances from India and compliances from UAE. What is the best one for them to follow for their objective to meet?
Absolutely.
We see a lot of individuals nowadays, they're getting various notices from department, income tax departments, as well as from ED, because of their investments in UAE by not following certain regulatory compliances. Knowingly, unknowingly, they did that.
And ignorance of law is not
Of
excusable.
course, yes. So you need to know what are the compliances that you need to look at before you invest. So that's where we come and play the role to advise them in the right direction. Of course, we don't want our people or our clients to get into trouble, get into any issues.
Correct.
Yes, the objective is to earn money or increase your wealth, but you do it in a right way
Absolutely.
so that you don't get into troubles over a period.
Fantastic.
That's what we help them in and take and handhold them from the beginning till end.
Amazing.
Yeah.
On your website, do you have like something like an FAQ section which can help people to get to know more about?
We do have.
So
We do have those things, and we also release a lot of articles on these relevant topics,
fantastic.
as well as do some videos as well.
So what I will do is, for the benefit of anyone who is wanting to think about all these exciting opportunities, I'll put the relevant links of few articles as well as the FAQs in the description box in the pinned comment, so that you can also make an informed decision. Because like he said, right, it's not always that people would go ahead with a malicious intention and would want to just, reroute the money. But some people who are actually wanting to do it in a proper way, but still ultimately could land up in trouble because they might not know the relevant things.
Yes.
So don't forget to check out the links in the description and in the pinned comment. Balaram, I must say that this was one of the smooth flowing podcasts. I had so many papers with me, but apart from writing down few notes, I did not refer to these questions. But I think all these questions more or less came straight from my heart. So thank you so much. You have a flight back to India today, right?
Yes, I'm flying back. So
okay, so I'll not take much of his time. So thank you so much
my
for
pleasure.
joining in.
My pleasure, Rachana ji. I think it was so nice to have you
Thank you.
with us, and it was a wonderful discussion with you. I felt like discussing with a friend.
Oh, thank you so much.
We being from the same community of chartered accountancy, I think it is absolute pleasure talking to you and conversing with you.
I think I enjoyed it a lot too. I hope you did that as well. If you still have any questions, please let your question. Please, put your questions in the comments. Me and my team will try to trouble them, and we'll try and get the maximum answers to your questions. So keep on posting your questions. We'll be happy to more than answer. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye bye.